Hello again, orators. Welcome to the second video in week 4. We're going to be looking at some of the specific details here about the way that we work with workshops. So your handbook doesn't address workshops per se, but the open education resource, the eCampus one, definitely does show and provide you with access to all sorts of tips in terms of working in groups. So the one reading in chapter 11, section 74 talks about the 5 steps that a group goes through in its process of developing. So I've let you choose the groups, or I've asked you to choose groups, correction, and you go through this process of forming the group, storming. That's where you sort of have some engagement. You get to know each other a little bit. You might have some conflict. Norming, you establish the rules. So hopefully by the time we get into class in week 4, your rules will be established. You'll have your relationships set up because you'll have to get to performing pretty quickly. And performing is going to be developing a workshop that you need to deliver to the class to teach the content. And I said each workshop is going to run about 15 minutes. So just a little bit longer than any of these individual short teachable sections that I keep running for you. Adjourning, that's your leaving and your lessons learned. And I, in fact, do ask you to record, record. By record, I mean write out a short assessment on how your group worked together. In addition to information about how groups work, and so you have a better understanding of how groups work. So it's one of those, have the information, know what to do with it. Okay, so you can recognize different roles that people undertake in a group. This section in the eCampus talks about some of the positive roles and the negative roles that people take on when it comes to groups. An initiator, somebody who might be really triggered and focused on scheduling when the group gets together, where details are uploaded and shared so that everybody is working on the same process. Somebody who records conversations, makes sure that everybody is accountable. Whereas some of your negative roles are people who dominate inappropriately in a conversation. They're forever making jokes or being a bit of a clown, or they're blocking general progress. Again, information and awareness so that you're able to control your groups and move forward with your groups better. One of the big things that we keep talking about in this class is your ability to speak extemporaneously. I don't want you reading content. There is absolutely no need to read content to your audience at this stage. Becoming an extemporaneous speaker is not just winging it, not just flying off the handle. It is having a planned set of ideas that you want to deliver to your audience, knowing what your audience is, knowing what your purpose is, being economical and respectful of the time. That's our APE acronym. We've talked about that a few times. So once you know that main message you want to get across to your class, to your audience, to your peers, to whoever it is you're presenting, it's going to allow you to speak more freely and more confidently. When you're doing your group workshops, I want you to present as a cohesive, knowledgeable team. You have to use a conversational tone. Don't fill it up with language you don't understand, you're not comfortable with. Provide the evidence. That is, give us the APA in the slides, someplace so that I can see, yeah, you didn't just make this up. There's actually research to back up your content. And then the what's in it for me, WIFM. Tell the audience why they should care about whatever topic you end up choosing, and then remind us what we've learned. That's our wrap up at the end, and invite questions from the audience. You do have to do a TED analysis this week, and there are 4 choices for you to choose from. You've got the Angela Lee Duckworth. She talks about grit and how you have to persevere sometimes. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Danger of a Single Story. It's a really eye-opening, important examination of the restrictions of having only a single story to work from. Takahiro Tezuka is an incredible story about around kindergarten, someplace in Japan. And then Tim Urban, Inside the Mind of a Procrastinator, a master procrastinator. And this one is very popular, has always been in the past. I would encourage you to maybe seek some variety, especially if you've already seen the Tim Urban one. Although in this case, I am asking you to analyze it. Before you do any of your analysis, I do encourage you to look at the 6 Minutes article, which is hyperlinked at the beginning of your assignment. Now, I'm going to show you sort of the first couple of minutes of this very important talk by Amy Cuddy, and then I'll show you how it gets analyzed. All right, so that was the first few seconds. You can see I've got listed down here 3:30 to 5:30. In fact, when you do your group workshops, I am going to ask you to pick a specific passage, and that's the part that you would show to the class. So if we were to bring this forward to about 3:30, well, yeah, I'll let it start from here. All right, I will provide the links. You can follow up a little bit further on your own, but for now you've had a sample of who Amy Cuddy is. And here is an example of how you would complete your TED Talk analysis. So you'll have picked one of the 4 that I gave you, either Chimamanda, Tim, Angela, or Takahura. And then you have to go through, you'll highlight things that really jumped out at you. So for instance, I thought she had dynamic impact in her opening, and I wrote a comment there that Amy engaged the audience by asking them to audit your body and pay attention. You all saw that part. So that was how it was dynamic right away. Preview. I chose logical, but then I provided an explanation. No full preview, but she did give a hint. I'm going to come back to this. You'll also see that I added a couple of comments in under eye contact. Excellent looking around, including the audience. And I mean, obviously it's a TED Talk. She's got cameras that pan back and forth with the audience, her facial expression, how she scrunches it up for the body language. Quote, but we call it nonverbals as social scientists. Haven't continued, but you are asked to provide comments in a few of the boxes. This is the kind of comment that I'm looking for when you do your analysis. So that's your TED Talk analysis for this week. And that's pretty much it for this recording.